Hey, it's Seth from Rise Up Gym Channel. And does your sport require you to throw a ball? Well, I have some exercises that help you increase your power and velocity and also help you decrease some injuries. Let's check them out. Let's face it, throwing a ball is not the easiest task in the world. You have to be mobile, strong, and have good technique. Also, throwing a baseball is not going to be the same every single time. We're going to go overhand, we're going to go 3/4, you're going to go low, softball, underhand. So we have to train in a variety of different angles, in a variety of different ways. So in this video, I want to go over those things for you. I have some mobility drills, I have some strength drills, and I even have some power drills for you. So for the mobility, there is a ton you can do. I'm not going to go over mobility in a sense where we're just going to do arm circles and things like that. Those are great for your warm-up. I want to go over stuff that adds a little bit different nuances to it, like with bands or things like that we do here in the gym. One of the first ones that I do for mobilization is just band traction. Now, the reason why I like these types of mobility drills along with the normal ones of sideline, T-spine openers and arm circles is because this requires you to have a little bit of resistance to help kind of facilitate those angles and movements that you need to throw. So for band traction, I'm just going to take a medium strength band and I'm going to loop it around, and all I'm going to do is kind of pull my shoulder blade in and retract out. And the nice thing about this is I can go at a bunch of different angles. I'm not pulling with my body or my arm, I'm just squeezing my shoulder blade and going back. And I can go even behind me a little bit, pull. This is not going to be the hugest motion. As you can see, I'm adding a little bit of rotation. But I just want to strengthen all those little angles and to see if I get that fine motor movement of pulling subtly just with my shoulder instead of my whole body as well. Next, I like these bands here with the handles. And this one I'm currently doing for myself. My shoulder's a little bit cranky, but I call it the clock. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this band and I'm going to bring it, start overhead at 12 o'clock. This is not a lot of resistance. I don't need a lot of resistance. What I'm going to do too is put my other hand on my rib cage. That way I know when I'm going back, I'm not lifting or flaring my rib cage up. I want to isolate the shoulder. So I'm going 12 o'clock, I'm pulling down and I'm controlling back. And then like I said, I'm going to go out 1 o'clock. I'm going to go to 2 o'clock and then just down the clock. Pulling in, controlling back. So when I control back, I go slow to make sure my rib cage doesn't move. I get a little stretch. Come back. If I need a little bit more resistance, I'll walk forward. And I'm just working my way down the clock. And I'm seeing also what angles, maybe cause me a little bit of discomfort, so I focus on those a little bit. Lastly, the reason why I like the band is because it decelerates. It's very easy to let it go back fast. I'm going to control it back, so it's kind of the reverse of a throw, and it's training those muscles to be stronger through deceleration. And I would just work around the clock a few times and obviously do my other arm. Even though it's not my throwing arm, we want to be strong on both sides. Another one I like is a halo. This one can fall into the category of strength as well. But you can take a plate, you can take a kettlebell. Plate's kind of nice because you get a little bit wider shoulder angle, so it's a little bit more comfortable. But all I'm going to do is take a plate, and I just tell my athletes we're just going to steer like we're driving a car steering wheel. Maybe not this aggressively when you drive, I hope, but I'm going to turn and roll around. And also what I'm looking for is external rotation, or flaring my elbows out and around. And then we're going to go the other way, roll around and back. Now what I don't want to do is bend my head or manipulate to get it around. So if I need to, I'll lift it up a little bit more and around. But ideally what I'm looking for is a tight rotation with elbows out as I roll around, and then doing that in both directions. Last mobilization one, again, it falls in the category of strength as well and stabilization, is some scapular retractions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my belly on the ball here. I'm going to have my feet wide for support. I'm going to have my arms out. We're going to do, you can do multiple directions. Let's say this is almost straight out. like let's say it's 1 o'clock and 11 o'clock. And what I want to do is squeeze my shoulder blades until they're retracting down. And I'll widen out. Usually wider's a little bit easier. These wide positions, or the 11 and 1, are a little bit more challenging, than one arm might go more than the other. Now what you don't want to do is lift. So I'm just squeezing my shoulder blades until they stop and then controlling down. So again, we're getting that mobilization of the shoulder, but also stabilizing through the scapula, through that range of motion, which is what you need to prevent injuries, but also have a clean, crisp throwing pattern. Now I want to get into some band-specific strength exercise that we use very frequently, whether it's in between sets or warm-ups when we do our throws. One is a band front pull-apart. So I'm going to take a small band, I'm going to grip overhand, wrists fairly straight, so I kind of have to turn my wrists out a little bit, and then we want our shoulders down. Now, common mistake is leveraging the pull. I want our shoulders down, and all I'm doing is squeezing my shoulder blades really slowly. If you go fast, you're going to leverage and pull too hard with your back. So I like to go slow with these, squeezing and then controlling back, getting that eccentric again. Squeezing, controlling back. So I'm keeping the shoulders down in my back pockets and controlling. Again, not leveraging, lifting my rib cage and using momentum to do it. High reps is great for that one. Second one we're going to do is I'm going to have my hands underneath, tucking my elbows in, and I'm going to pull outward. External rotation. I think Eric Christie calls this the no money drill. So I just want to work external rotation on this. And I'm keeping my elbows tucked, shoulders down, and then working the strength outward and controlling the eccentric inward. Next, we got some other band exercises. I like the face pull. So we did this for a traction, but we're going to do face pull. You can use this with a cable machine. But the reason why I like this with the band is that eccentric or return. So I'm going to have a triangle position here, one foot in front of the other. This one I do want a little bit of external rotation, so unlike a row that's a little bit closer to the body, I want to strengthen up in this zone, so that area for throwing. And I'm going to pull towards my face, and I'm going to control back. So the less I leverage and the less I let it shoot back, the better. Elbows up, pull towards my face, and then control back. Again, I'm staying as still as I can, squeezing the shoulder blades as much as I can. Band work, again, we'll do a front raise, and this one, unlike a dumbbell, we're going to get a little bit of that negative eccentric. This one is great for softball pitchers, because softball pitchers go from underneath motion. We're going to raise up a little bit past parallel, and then I work that eccentric. I like to keep my hand on my rib cage so I don't lift my rib cage as I do it. So shoulders down, and then control back. If you want to even change your angle, you can go underhand and back, especially for softball. So we're hitting the muscles a little bit differently and hitting that motion a little bit differently. Core work is essential. Almost any core thing is great. The band one is going to be good that I like is, core rotation. So we're getting a little bit with the throw, working that rotation and coming back. And also you can do a lot of stabilization ones. Pal-off presses are very common. I also like pal-off holds or standing side planks, where I'll go here, settle my shoulders, and I'm subtly keeping it away from moving towards the anchor and just working that. So it just builds up that rotator cuff that works well under isometric kind of tension or just subtle movements. Strength training exercises. Now, most strength training exercises are going to be beneficial for pitching. I'm not going to go over a lot of the lower body ones because they are good. It's just, I've done them a bunch in other videos. In fact, if you want to check out my last video on hitting power, you can see a lot of the lower body ones. Even then, I don't go over like deadlifts and squats. I go over some specific ones for lateral movement. So that helps out the throwing when we got to shift laterally. So, keep your leg training going, deadlifts, squats, lunges, split squats, step ups. Always keep those going. You should never really take those away because you want to build from the ground up even when you throw. I'm going to show some more specific ones that aren't necessarily earth-shattering, but I think they should be in people's programs if they want to throw better. The first one I'm going to do is a front and side raise. Now, I like the dumbbells. You want to keep a light dumbbell so you're not manipulating your body to move it. We're going to just go straight up to parallel, and then I'm going to control down. The reason why I like this is we can change all different angles. So a front raise doesn't have to be straight off the front. It could be a slight angle, and then down. It could be a slight out, that's more of a side. I can turn my thumbs up and down. I can go a little bit winged out. There's even an empty can where you go thumb down and up. So there's a bunch of ways you can do this. Again, we don't want to manipulate it. We want to be stable. I like a little pause, and then controlling down. Second one we're going to do, we're going to make sure we keep our chest presses in there. Now bench press is okay. I don't mind a bench press, but the bench press is very fixed, and people do have shoulders where they're throwing a lot. It may not be the best because it just keeps you in a fixed position. Dumbbell, in my opinion, is a little bit better because we can make slight changes in the angles to help keep the shoulder happy. One variation I really like is the single dumbbell chest press, and the reason why is because I got to keep this other side stable. I may have to use less weight, but when I'm pulling down, it's going to want to pull me this way, so I got to stay really stable, and I can really engage my core and all those muscles in my rib cage to keep me stable so I'm successful with the movement. So try the single, and also you can balance out your sides that way very well. Another one I like is the pullover. So just keeping the shoulders down, also keeping the rib cage down. So this kind of mimics that overhead motion. We don't want to lift up as we go back. I want to pull my belly button down and squeeze through. I want to make sure that at the bottom here I keep my tension. I don't want to relax and I have to dig myself out of the hole. So again, I tell my athletes it's like a mousetrap. I'm pulling down. The mousetrap's going back with tension slowly. I'm controlling so it doesn't snap my finger. When I feel a stretch in my armpits, I squeeze through crisply in control without moving my core or lifting up. Lastly, I'm going to make a case for chest flies. Now, some people don't like these because they do put stress on the shoulder. I think they're great. Go light with them. The reason is the position we're going to be in is similar to kind of like a three-quarter throw, and it strengthens the shoulder in those vulnerable areas. For the reason people don't like chest flies is because you're holding weight in vulnerable areas, is the reason why you should do them, because when you're throwing a ball, yes, it's light, so that way you don't feel the stress on the shoulder that much, but if you're going to do that, if you overload those positions carefully, you'll be stronger in the long run. So I'm going to take my light weights here, I'm going to roll back, and I'm going to be in a W position. So I'm going to bend my elbows, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to be in a W. So at the bottom, I'm in a W where my arm is just a little wide at my elbows. I don't want to be straight in, even though that's safe, that's fine. And then we don't want to be straight out here because that puts way too much stress. So again, shoulders down, I'm going to bend my elbows, and all I'm doing is leading with my elbows. And then when I feel that stretch, I squeeze like a hug to come up, and that should bring the bells together. So this is strengthening the shoulder, but it's also strengthening the pec, and that motion is the pec pulling the arm across the body. So why not strengthen it with some good chest flies? Lastly, medicine ball work for power production. This is a great way to build up power safely to help increase the velocity of your throws and to build up endurance in your shoulder and just safety to put power through the throws. So a lot of different ways you can do this. I usually start off with a chest pass one. A lot of times I do it kneeling, so it takes the legs out of it, but if I want the athlete to use the legs a little bit more, I'll have them stand up. So it's up to you what you want to do. Chest pass one, very common, just want to be in a position here, just pushing to the wall there. So that's kind of the basic one. The next one you can do is a lateral throw, so we'll throw for the side. So I'm driving here. If I'm doing the kneeling version, it's a little bit more core oriented, so I got to make sure I'm throwing that way. You can also do it if you have someone to help you throw. You can do side-to-side throws like tennis as well. We do that sometimes. Next one will be a shot put throw, so I'm going to keep this in here. I can have one leg up or both knees down, or I can do it standing, and I'm just going to push through. So I'm pushing this way, I'm going towards you, pushing this way. Again, I can also do it standing as well. We have the behind the head throws. I'm not going to launch it here, but usually I throw with my athletes, or just have them throw it as far as I can, either kneeling down or standing up. A lot of times I have them do it kneeling down because they can pretty much throw the whole length of the gym when they have their legs, but we want to be here. And then I want them to release in a line drive and back. Again, I'm a little closer, I'm not launching it in there, but that's another one you can do. Lastly, we're going to do slams. Now you can do them kneeling or standing. We can go 2 arms, but we want to mimic that overhead throw. Again, you can do it 1 arm and bring it overhead and slam. This one doesn't bounce, but I'm just going to slam and then fall down. So we're working that power downward in a safe manner. I like these steel clubs for rotational work. So we did this a lot in the last video in the hitting one, so go check that out if you haven't, but you can work your way, just working these angles here. Now we can add a couple different angles. Again, I like this for softball a lot. So we get the drive. You can use this with a kettlebell too, but we're bringing back and then driving forward for softball. For baseball, what I would do too, like an advanced one, is to choke up a little bit and then just mimic a throw slightly. I'm going to cast it through, roll, roll, and I just want to be smooth, try not to hit my knee like I did right there, and just smooth casting through and then opening up, and that'll help out those rotator cuff muscles and just work you through that range of motion. Lastly, you don't need to buy this, but I think it's pretty cool. This is a 1990s exercise gimmick, the body blade. It was supposed to help you tone your muscles isometrically or isotonically when you're doing movements, but I found it to be very good for rotator cuff work. The reason is rotator cuffs are the stabilizing muscles of the shoulder, and they respond very well to perturbations or vibration or slower kind of training that just kind of get them to stabilize a lot more. So what this does, it just kind of moves around like a leaf spring, and I'm just going to get that motion going, and I'm going to stabilize. And as I get better, I can go in different angles and just stabilize in all positions and try to get overhead. Now as the athlete gets better, I try to get them to move through a range of motion. Not necessarily a throwing motion, but just trying to do it all through this range of motion. Now if I were doing it on my left side, you see maybe I'm not as coordinated and I'll get here and get stuck, so I want to try to train that area and see if I can be smooth all the way. See how I get stuck there. So as I do it, I'm less coordinated on this side, which is okay, I was on my throwing side necessarily, but I want to try to get the athlete on their throwing side to be as smooth as they can and help build the endurance of the shoulder. It's really low level, doesn't put a lot of strain on the shoulder, but it's a good way to get coordination and also endurance in those rotator cuff muscles to help stabilize your throw and keep you injury free. So I want to thank you for watching the video. If you like it, please like it down below. Also subscribe, as I try to put a new video out every week. If you have any suggestions for future videos, put them down in the comments below. Thanks again, and let's build that arm strength up and build that speed up on those throws.